You guys doing okay?
IR.
I got you. Well, guys, first off, each one of you and your loved ones have come through this as good as possible. Obviously, our opportunity to play the ball game this weekend is something our guys are looking forward to, and yet, it's one of those things that sometimes you got to sit back and put into perspective. I don't think we can ever say that we're going to get back to normal because through this storm that hit us here the last week, there is no normal. And I know playing this game, our campus officials, our administration, city administrators, people in the government felt like that this can be a go, and we're going to make it happen. I hope that it gives the people of the state of Florida, this area, just a couple hours of something to take their mind off as they recover from what they've gone through. Obviously, this last week, my concerns have been obviously ultimately with our players' safety, and that they were taken care of, staying in touch with their families. Ultimately, over 60 guys were affected through their families in one way or another, and what we can do to help them rebuild and move forward, and then to our coaches and staff's families as they went through it, and then ultimately my family. I know our guys are excited to play. And hopefully play with a little bit of passion and desire for the people of the state of Florida. And it's obviously a big ball game because it's the next game. You get a chance to play in the swamp, which I know we're excited about, and look forward to getting after it. We had practice yesterday for the first time. Guys were pretty focused and zeroed in. A little rusty. We got to have good practice today, and let the guys go play fast. So, injury-wise, Goulds practiced yesterday. Looked pretty good. I'd say he's going to be ready to go. Alan Johnson will probably be out with that same leg that he's kind of been hampered with. No update on James's heart. I know I'm probably forgetting somebody. Kamori will be back. He practiced the end of last week, and then practiced yesterday, so he should be good to go. So other than that, that's where we're at injury-wise. Questions?
Mark,
how did you and your coaching staff get through the hurricane? Was this, I know you've been through tornadoes, but was this new for you, something, a new experience, and you just got on recently?
Yeah, but shoot, I wish everybody had their power on, and mine was still off. That's, you know, we had a good plan, and we had good people executing the plan to help our guys, help our families. And we were very fortunate. You know, it's resilience. It's time to pick back up and get going, and that's what we're going to do.
With that said, in terms of the football aspect, how much time did you lose, and how much can you get it back? Can you cram it in?
Cramming it in is probably a good way to put it. No matter how hard you focused on what was about to come up, you know, as the battery power lasted on our computers or whatever, and we got on your off-season breakdowns as well, and you know, our guys are going to go play hard. We're going to put a good thing together to give them an opportunity to play fast and release some of their energies and vent up frustrations as well as we come out in the swamp. You know, I think you know, our thoughts in this game go a lot farther than the selfish reasons that you play a game, but more so the big picture reasons you play a game, and hopefully give some relief to some people whose lives have been you know, changed forever.
Pat, over here to the right.
Jim, it's been 308 days since you guys have played a game in that stadium, and I know it's been spruced up with a lot of new things. I mean, how much do you think that's going to be a lift for these guys who they may need directions to get there, but just as far as playing in the swamp?
Well, I know how much it means to our guys to play in the swamp, but more than that, how much it means for the people who were in the swamp, in that environment, to root on the Gators. And you know, I want our guys to understand it's so much more than just them. It's an opportunity that's awful special coming off of what just occurred. And you know, it's interesting. You teach lessons in life that you got to take advantage of every opportunity, because you never know when you'll get one or if you'll get another one. And I think you know, our guys now losing 2 games in the swamp over the last couple of years. You know, it's a special place, and we've got to treat it that way and understand it's a special place to a lot of people. You know, I know they're looking forward to coming out of that tunnel, and hearing those Gator fans, that's going to do a lot.
Actually, lost 3.
Yeah, that's right. We lost 3. No, that's exactly right.
Thomas.
You said on the SEC teleconference call that Doug will move up to the booth. What does that do for you guys? Does it maybe give him a different view, and then how does that affect the communication?
We've got guys down on the sideline to, you know, handle the direct communication, just like we did the first year. You know, he'll be able to communicate with those guys between series, you know, on the headsets and that kind of stuff. I think, you know, him being able to see it in kind of a sterile environment is something that will help.
Matt, over here to the right.
Hey, Jim. You sound a lot more somber and subdued than usual, and I think we all kind of are, and I'm sure your team is as well. How the heck do you get everybody focused on playing a really big game in a couple of days with what to prepare?
Well, you know, it's what we do. It's in our fabric. one of the great lessons you learn in athletics, and especially the game of football, is sometimes you get knocked down. And the measure of a true man is how he gets back up. And that's what we're going to do.
Edgar?
What is kind of the impetus for your mood here? I mean, are you exhausted mentally, physically? I mean, what, you seem so very somber.
You know, probably the concern for the people. The families of our players that are my responsibility. I mean, it is what it is, and yet, you know, you can't just say it didn't happen. But what do we learn from it, and how we go about rebuilding? And that's what we plan on doing. And you know, I think it'll be good for our people, our university, for us to go out and play a game on Saturday. So obviously, you know, one that a lot of people look forward to, and I know it's one that our guys look forward to. So
A lot of harrowing moments and stories throughout the state.
yeah.
Anybody on the team in particular impacted more devastatingly than someone else? And how did you kind of stay in touch with all these guys throughout this?
Well, I'd tell you, we had a really good plan. We had some systems in place that we were able to check periodically with a response to make sure that they were okay. We set that up through our parents and families networks that gave them an up-to-date location of where their sons were and or loved ones were, and tried to do the best we can that way to stay in touch with them as well, just to ease that piece of the communication. And then, you know, assessing the damage. You know, that's, we got guys that are affected, and yet, you know, it's one thing about what you really feel down here is there's a real resilient piece to this, you know, that people have gone through this before, rebuilt, and it'll come back better, and that's what our focus is.
Football-wise, how much contact did you have with the team? I mean, did you guys practice at all in the days?
I mean, you heard the governor. I mean, our deal was with the safety of our players. And I think sometimes we get really caught up in what we do and realize that ultimately, you know, sometimes 3rd down and 7 is not the most important thing in life.
Ryan over here, and then we get to Tommy and Gary. I guess you're next.
Just building off Edgar's question, were the guys all off on their own, or did you all get together?
We were together throughout. We had plans for guys, you know, in areas that we knew were safe. Obviously, the majority that are in the dorms were in the best place because those are, you know, set for this. We had guys join them, and we also had some extra rooms there. We made sure that the places that they were, if they weren't with family, we had a lot of families that came up as well. And that was good. That was a good thing.
Well,
And so,
were the families on campus here, or did they?
some were in the guys' you know, houses and or apartments. Some were in a hotel. You know, we knew exactly where everybody was. We had immediate contact from everybody. I think we got the last location check about 8:30 that next morning.
So did you get positive confirmation everyone's families were okay at the end of all this?
You know, we've reached out. There's some that have been obviously displaced, but as of right now, everything's good.
Thomas and then Gary.
Two quicker football things, suspensions, any updates? And then can you just kind of evaluate Tennessee for us? Where do you see their strengths, maybe weaknesses?
Well, they're a good football team. He's done a hell of a job. Obviously, being a really good Georgia Tech team, and showed some toughness in it. I've got a lot of respect for what they do offensively. I think they picked up with the loss of that quarterback. And haven't really missed a beat there. I think Coach Shoup does an outstanding job. Let's go all the way back to when he was at William and Mary, breaking him down before we played him when he was at Vanderbilt. And some of the problems he gives you, he does a great job of reading your mail and giving their guys a plan. Special teams is something they've really excelled at. We got to go out and win our one-on-ones to give us an opportunity to be successful in the game.
Gary.
Coach, I just don't want to assume anything, because Philippe still started. Can you comment on a freshman that, through circumstances certainly not under his control, his first two starts are going to be against two ranked teams, Michigan and Tennessee. And did you see enough of his demeanor in the Michigan game that you like to lead you to believe he should be able to handle this next challenge?
He should, and I think the one thing there is it's the reason you come to the University of Florida, is to play in games like that, and there's another opportunity for him.
Edgar.
I know it's tough to shift to the football part of it, but how this gave you extra time, I'm sure, to look back on the season opening performance.
Not really, because we had moved on to Northern Colorado. You know, we did the wrap up of that. We're working on the Bears and the things that they gave us, and then obviously after Perfect Thursday, and the right decision, to cancel the game, at that point was really focusing on the safety of the people in this football family and the people outside from there.
You said winning one-on-ones, though. Ultimately, when you look back at that game film, is that what broke down on the offensive side of football?
Yeah, didn't win our one-on-ones.
In terms of yourself and this program's direction, how critical is this game?
Every game's critical, Edgar. I know where we're going. I know the things we're building. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the direction. I'm excited about the young guys that we're playing. We'll just keep moving forward.
Matt, over here to the right.
Jim, I'm curious. I know the Bucs coach Dirk Cutter was watching. Had a couple TVs in his office, Weather Channel on one and whatever game came on the other. What were you doing on Saturday?
The biggest thing for me was checking in, regularly with the people, obviously the players and the families, making sure they were safe and in place and had everything that we could do to help them. And then from there, believe it or not, my family. So, we watched, like I said, we had, our stuff loaded up on our computers to try to, relieve our minds a little bit.
Did it work?
Yeah, and but then guys picked up that next morning and cleaned up what they could. Obviously, the town, they didn't want anybody out on the roads at all because of the power lines down, the flooding on the roads. So we got back after it early yesterday morning, and had a good Tuesday practice yesterday.
Mark?
You talked about cramming things in this week. How do you, like, is there some formula for doing that? Can you go 2 a days?
It was interesting, the formula. So I look back to so one year when we were at Louisville, we actually played on every single day of the year. That was back when ESPN first started everything, and we opened the season on a Memorial Day Monday, which is normally Monday Night Football, but that gave us, and our bowl game was on a Sunday. And we played every single day of the week. In fact, I remember John L. named, we just went to colors, because sometimes a game on a Thursday, well, a Wednesday is a Friday, but a Tuesday might be a Wednesday and a Thursday, and then you really don't have a Monday, depending on when the game was, right? So we went to a color system. So we kind of approached this a little bit like you're playing a Thursday, or a Friday night game, and put the things in that way.
And then secondly, it seems like it's a pretty fine line in getting guys to play for the state and then maybe putting too much pressure on them, having too distracted. Do you seek outside advice, or have you, on terms of how to do that properly, or maybe get the most out of them?
Yeah, and part of that too is even within the staff that's gone through some of this, that's one thing, I think, experience. There is no replacing experience, and we've had guys on our staff that have been through some of this stuff as well. We obviously leaned on what we did a little bit last year, going through it, and having gone through that, I think the plan piece was really good. So, yeah.
A couple final questions. We'll go Kevin and then Ryan. Kevin on the left.
I know the school is planning to honor first responders. Anything that you're going to do personally or wear or anything like that?
Yeah, all responders actually, and there's so many people that are have worked tirelessly and continue to work, and we'll wear a special piece on our helmet. We'll do some other things, through the actual game management piece, with some of the evacuees, the volunteers, that kind of thing, just to make sure that they all know how much they're in our hearts.
And then a football-related question. Tennessee's speed at receiver created some issues last year in the matchup, and they kind of have some new faces this year in that regard, particularly Kenny Marquise Conley. How do you account for that and game plan for their ability to throw the ball downfield?
Well, a little of it goes back to kind of earlier. What we talked about is accepting the challenge and winning your one-on-ones. They'll test that young secondary, and yet that young secondary is going to be ready to go. They'll definitely do that. We've got to protect against, especially the play action and double move stuff, and not allow them to, get biased on some of that. So the discipline in which our guys play back there, and ultimately accepting the challenge to win your one-on-one.
We'll wrap it up with Ryan over here to the right.
To balance out the instant reaction to the O-line play against Michigan, what gives you confidence that can improve quickly and be close to what you expected?
Well, I think there's a little bit of pride in there too, you know, those guys understand. And, you know, this is no small task. I mean, this is a really good defensive front, an SEC front that's been built, and you know, Butch has done an outstanding job of collecting talent there, and he's done a really good job, obviously, in their program now, however many years he's been there. You can see the full evolution of what they've done, and you know, it's paying off.
And lastly, what is your level of concern for how long these suspensions might keep dragging out to the season and affecting games?
It's no concern.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.